You look like someone who just left a whole world behind. Ethan Cole froze with one hand on the convenience store door, rain slipping from his hair onto the collar of his coat. The clerk inside had already been watching him through the glass. Now the woman under the awning was watching too. She stood near the ice machine with a paper cup in both hands, calm as if midnight strangers breaking down outside corner stores were part of her usual weather. The clerk pushed the door open. "Sir, you buying something or not?" Ethan's jaw tightened. Before he could answer, the woman smiled at the clerk. "He's with me." Ethan turned to her. "I'm not." "Then you should be relieved I'm generous." The clerk looked between them, decided he did not care enough to argue, and went back inside. Ethan should have walked away. That had been his only plan for the last half hour. Walk. Do not look back. Do not answer the phone. Do not give anyone the satisfaction of seeing what one sentence from his father had done to him. But the woman had just lied for him with the ease of someone who understood emergencies came in quiet forms. His phone buzzed again in his pocket. She noticed. He hated that she noticed. "Family?" she asked. "That obvious?" "Only if someone knows the look." "What look?" "The one people get when the person hurting them still has a key." Rain ticked against the awning. A cab passed too fast and threw dirty water over the curb. Ethan stepped back just in time. The woman did not move much. She only shifted her cup from one hand to the other and looked at him as if he were neither threat nor project, just a man who had run out of places to put himself. "I'm not looking for advice," he said. "Good," she said. "I'm not giving any. You just told a stranger he looked like he left a world behind." That was an observation. "You always observe out loud?" "Only when the alternative is watching a man get thrown out of a convenience store for haunting the doorway." Despite himself, something almost like a laugh moved through him. Almost. It caught in his chest and stayed there. She saw that too, but did not smile as if she had one. "I'm Lumi," she said. He looked at her then, really looked. She wore a camel coat over a black dress, the kind of dress that belonged in a hotel lounge, not under bad fluorescent light beside a lottery poster. Her dark hair was pinned loosely at the back of her neck, damp strands curling near her jaw. Her eyes were steady. Not soft exactly. Kind, but awake. "Like light?" he asked. "Like my mother was hopeful and my father lost the naming argument." This time the laugh escaped. Short. Rough. Surprised. Her mouth curved. He looked away first. "Ethan," he said. "Ethan," she repeated, and his name sounded less like something being called from across a table. The phone buzzed again. He pulled it out before he could stop himself. "Claire, please just tell me where you are." His mother. "Honey, answer me." "Mark, come on, man. Don't make this a whole thing." His father. "Come back for your car. We'll discuss this like adults." Ethan locked the screen and gripped the phone until his knuckles hurt. Lumi did not ask to see it. She did not ask what happened. She only glanced toward the store. "They have hot chocolate that tastes like childhood lying to you." He stared at her. "And coffee," she added, "if you'd rather feel punished." "I don't need anything." "Of course. That's why you're standing in the rain with your hands shaking." He shoved both hands into his coat pockets. "You're very direct." "Not usually. You seem like someone who might mistake subtlety for permission to leave." "I was leaving." "No," she said, not unkindly. "You escaped." Different thing. That landed closer than he wanted. The door slid open behind him again. A teenager came out with a bag of chips and gave Ethan a cautious look before hurrying away. Lumi nodded toward the window. "Come inside for 2 minutes. Buy something." Then the clerk stops thinking you're about to rob him or cry near the gum. I'm not going to cry. I didn't say that part like it was a crime. He looked at her for a long second. The city behind her shone wet and restless. Neon trembled in puddles. Rainwater streamed down the convenience store glass, breaking the shelves inside into warped stripes of color. He could still smell his father's dining room on his coat: roast chicken, red wine, lilies, old judgment. He opened the door. Lumi followed him in. Less than an hour earlier, Ethan had been sitting at his parents' long dining table, trying to become invisible between a bowl of salad and a bottle of wine he had bought because showing up empty-handed would have been evidence. It was supposed to be his mother's birthday dinner. That was the story. His mother had lit candles. His sister Claire had brought a cake from the bakery their mother loved. His cousin Mark had arrived in a sharp jacket and brighter confidence, talking about a promotion, a condo, some trip to Naples with his fiancée's family. Ethan had meant to be decent. He had asked questions. He had smiled when expected. He had even said, "That's great, Mark," and meant most of it. Then his father began. Richard Cole never raised his voice. He did not need to. He could turn a room by setting down a fork. "So," Richard said, "what's happening with the studio?" Ethan felt Claire glance at him. "It's going," Ethan said. "That's not an answer. It's the answer I have during dinner." His mother tried to laugh. "Ethan made a beautiful bookshelf last week. He showed me pictures." "Pictures don't pay leases," his father said. The table went quiet. Mark shifted in his chair. "Actually, Ethan, if you're looking for something steadier, we've got an opening. Operations. Good salary. Benefits. You'd be under Dave, not me." Ethan looked at him. Mark looked sincere. That made it worse. "I'm not looking right now," Ethan said. His father leaned back. "You should be." "Richard," his mother said softly. But his father had found the old rhythm. The one that made everyone else smaller. "You left a stable career because you wanted work to feel meaningful," Richard said. "Now the meaningful work can't pay its own rent." Ethan stared at the wine in his glass. "I'm handling it." "You're always handling it. Thinking about it. Figuring it out. Waiting for people to be impressed that you're struggling on principle." Claire said, "Dad, stop." Richard did not even look at her. "You know what the problem is?" he asked. Ethan already knew. His father had given him versions of the answer his whole life. Too sensitive. Too stubborn. Too proud. Too late. "You always disappoint people," Richard said. "Then you make them feel guilty for expecting more." No one moved. His mother whispered Richard's name. Mark looked down. Claire's face tightened with anger. Ethan felt something inside him go still. Not calm. Not numb. More like a wire pulled too tight until sound vanished. He folded his napkin and placed it beside his plate. "Where are you going?" his mother asked. He stood. "Ethan," Claire said. He looked at his mother, because she was the only reason he had come. "Happy birthday, Mom." Then he walked out. No slammed door. No speech. No last word. He left his car parked outside the house because going back for it would have meant stepping into the room again, and he did not trust himself not to become obedient at the sight of everyone waiting. So he walked. 6 blocks. Then 10. Then more. Past tidy houses with warm windows. Past the park where he had once been a bad little league player and his father had called it a character exercise. Past the bakery. Past the train tracks. Past the neighborhoods where people stopped pretending the city was quiet. His phone buzzed until it became part of his body. He did not answer. By the time he reached the convenience store, he was not angry anymore. Anger would have helped. Anger had posture. This was worse. This was the hollow after a man realizes he has been trying for years to win a trial whose verdict was written before he entered the room. Inside the store, the lights were too bright. The air smelled like burned coffee, floor cleaner, and hot dogs that had made bad life choices. Lumi moved past the aisles as if bad lighting could not touch her. She picked up 2 paper cups. "I can pay," Ethan said. "I'm sure." "That means no. That means I am making a small social decision quickly before you turn it into a dignity hearing." He blinked. She filled 1 cup with hot chocolate and the other with tea from a machine that sounded like it resented her. At the counter, the clerk gave Ethan another suspicious look. Lumi smiled at him. "He's harmless. Just dramatically under-caffeinated." "I'm not Dash." "Let me have this," she said. The clerk snorted despite himself. Ethan gave her a look. "You keep lying for me." "Not lying. Editing." Outside, she handed him the hot chocolate. He took it because refusing now seemed like more effort than surrendering. The cup was warm against his palms. Too warm. He realized then how cold his hands were. Lumi leaned against the brick wall just out of reach. Not close enough to trap him. Not far enough to abandon him. "You don't have to decide everything tonight," she said. "I do, actually." "What has to be decided before sunrise?" He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. She nodded once, as if that answered more than words would have. "My car cancelled," he said after a moment, looking at his phone. "So did mine." "Convenient. I rarely arrange fate outside business hours." The hot chocolate was too sweet. He drank anyway. A bus groaned past without stopping. Rain clung to the awning in shining beads. Across the street, a laundromat glowed blue and empty except for 1 man sleeping beside a row of spinning machines. "When you left," Lumi said, "was there 1 second where you felt better?" Ethan looked at her. She held up a hand. "You don't have to tell me the story." "Then why ask that?" "Because the guilt usually comes after the relief. People think the guilt means the relief was wrong." He stared at the wet sidewalk. The question had found the one part he had not allowed himself to admit. "Yes," he said. Lumi did not smile. "Okay. That's it?" "That's it." "You're not going to say it means something?" "It does. But I don't have to rush you into agreeing with me." He almost hated her for that. It would have been easier if she pushed. Easier if she asked what happened, if she gave him someone to resist. Instead she left the door open and stood there with her tea like she had all night. He drank again. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. Lumi's mouth tilted. That looked painful. It was. "Good. Practice. You're enjoying this." "A little." "You're strange." "Useful, though." He looked at her, and for the first time, his attention moved beyond the fact that she had seen too much. The store light caught the side of her face. A small gold earring flashed when she turned. There was a faint red mark on 1 finger where she must have worn a ring earlier, and a tiny smear of pink lipstick on the rim of her paper cup. Details he had no business noticing. Details his mind noticed anyway, maybe because noticing her was easier than feeling the hole his father had opened. She caught him looking. He looked away too fast. She let him. That made it worse. A voice from the corner cut through the rain. "Mara?" Lumi went still. The change was small. Her shoulders settled. Her cup lowered. Her eyes moved once to the store window, once to the clerk inside, once to the street beyond them. Ethan saw it happen, she was not freezing. She was mapping exits. A man in a gray hoodie stood near the edge of the awning. His hair was wet. His face was flushed. He looked drunk, but not drunk enough to be harmless. "Mara," he said again, stepping closer. "I knew it. I knew you'd come back." Ethan moved without thinking. Lumi's hand lifted between them, palm down. "Wait." The gesture was so quiet it almost made him angrier. "I'm not Mara," she said to the man. "Don't do that." His laugh broke in the middle. "Don't act like you don't know me." "I don't know you," Lumi said. Her voice stayed low. "But I know you think I do." The clerk looked up from inside. Good, Ethan thought. She had made sure they were visible. The man wiped rain from his face. "You left me." Lumi took one careful half-step sideways, opening space between herself and the wall. "Someone left you. You think this is funny?" "No. You all do that. You make me look crazy." "I don't think you're crazy." She kept her voice simple now. "No poetry. No performance. I think you're hurt and drunk, and I'm the wrong woman." The man blinked. A police cruiser rolled slowly past the intersection. It did not stop, but the man saw it. So did Lumi. "Hey," Ethan said, unable to stay silent. Not loud. Just enough. The man's eyes snapped to him. "Who the hell are you?" Lumi glanced at Ethan. Not warning now. Permission, maybe. Or caution. "He's with me," she said. The same lie again. This time Ethan did not correct her. The man looked between them, shame beginning to fight through the alcohol. "I thought you were her." "I know," Lumi said. "There's a diner 2 blocks down. Get water. Call somebody who can come get you." "I don't have anybody." The words came out raw. Lumi's face changed. Not pity. Something sadder and more careful. "Then call a cab before you say something you can't take back." For a second, Ethan thought the man might still explode. Instead, he dragged his sleeve across his mouth and stumbled away, shoulders hunched under the rain. The clerk opened the door and watched him go. "You good?" the clerk asked. Lumi nodded. "We're good." The door slid shut. Ethan realized his pulse was hard in his throat. Lumi lifted her cup again. Her hand trembled once before she tightened her fingers around the cardboard. He saw it. She saw him see it. "I wasn't as calm as I looked," she said. The admission was so unexpected that he forgot the first thing he meant to say. Then he said, quietly, "You don't have to make it look easy." Lumi looked at him for a long moment. Rainwater ran from the awning behind her in a thin silver line. "No," she said. "But it helps." "Who?" "Usually everyone else." He did not have a clever answer. For once, neither did she. The space between them changed. Before, she had been the woman who saw him too clearly. Now he had seen something back. A small thing. A crack in the glass. Not weakness, but effort. The cost beneath the grace. His phone buzzed again. This time both of them laughed, not because it was funny, but because the timing was terrible enough to become mercy. "You need a diner," Lumi said. "I do?" "You look like a man trying very hard not to have a second emotional event in public." "That specific?" "I'm gifted." "The diner 2 blocks down?" "Yes." "The one you just sent the drunk guy to?" She paused. He looked at her. She sighed. "Fine. 3 blocks down. Better pie anyway." Miles' diner sat on the corner beneath a fire escape, its old sign missing one letter and half its confidence. The windows were fogged with warmth. Inside, a silver-haired waitress in red glasses looked them over and waved them toward a booth without asking questions. The booth had cracked red vinyl. The table had a scratch down the middle. The lighting was kinder than the convenience stores, but not by much. Lumi slid in across from him and took off her coat. The black dress underneath was simple, high at the neck, sleeveless. Elegant without trying. Ethan noticed the damp ends of her hair against her collarbone and looked at the menu like it had become urgent. The waitress appeared. "Coffee?" "Yes," Ethan said. Lumi looked at him. "I thought you didn't drink coffee this late." "I also thought tonight was going to involve cake and emotional restraint." "Fair." The waitress looked at Lumi. "Tea, if you have it," Lumi said. "We have hot water and tea bags that lost hope in 2018. "Perfect." The waitress left. Ethan finally breathed. Lumi watched him over the menu. "You don't have to give me details." "I know. But..." He looked out the window. Rain slid down the glass, turning the streetlights into blurred gold lines. "My father said I always disappoint people." Lumi went still. No clever line came. Good, he thought. Or maybe not good. Maybe necessary. "That's a cruel thing to say," she said. "He says cruel things in a reasonable voice. Makes them harder to identify." "I know that kind." The waitress returned with coffee, hot water, and a little metal dish of tea bags. Lumi chose one with mock seriousness, but her eyes kept returning to him. Ethan wrapped both hands around his mug. The heat steadied him. "My studio's in trouble," he said. "What kind of studio?" "Furniture. Custom woodwork. Tables, shelves, built-ins. Repair jobs when I need cash." "Which is always." Her gaze moved to his hands. He almost pulled them off the table, then didn't. "They want me to take a job with my cousin," he said. "Operations. Salary. Benefits. A desk. Fluorescent lights. My father thinks it's a lifeline." "Is it?" He laughed without humor. "That's the problem." "It might be." Lumi stirred her tea. "And you hate that?" "Yes. Because if the offer is bad, refusing is easy." He looked at her. She lifted one shoulder. "Sorry. That was almost advice." It was accurate. "I know. That's my worst habit." He smiled faintly. The waitress came back with a slice of cherry pie and 2 forks. "We didn't order that," Ethan said. The waitress looked at him. "You walked in looking like a funeral, and she's wearing a gala dress in a rainstorm." "Eat the pie." Lumi accepted a fork. "I respect your leadership." "That one gets it," the waitress said, then left. Ethan stared at the pie. "My mother had cake," he said. Lumi's fork paused. "I left before it." "Then you definitely need pie." It should not have helped. It did. They ate from opposite sides of the slice. The cherry filling was too sweet, too bright, almost childish. Ethan had not realized how hungry he was until the first bite reached him. For a few minutes, the conversation thinned into simple things. Lumi told him she had escaped a charity gala where one donor used the phrase legacy activation 4 times in a toast. "That sounds like a crime," Ethan said. "It should be." "What do you do at those things?" "Keep rich people from turning minor inconveniences into Greek tragedy." "So crisis management. With better shoes." He looked under the table without meaning to. She caught him. "These are not the better shoes," she said. "I wasn't judging." "You were absolutely judging." "I work with wood. I judge chairs, floors, shoes near floors. Occupational hazard." Her laugh came quick and real. It loosened something in him. He told her about the studio then. Not all at once. She asked normal questions, not polished ones. What kind of wood do you like working with? What was the first thing you made that you were proud of? Do you hate clients or just invoices? He answered more than he meant to because she did not treat his work like a metaphor at first. She let it be work. Boards. Rent. Dust. Delivery mistakes. The ache in his shoulders. The good kind of tired after finishing a piece that had fought him for days. My grandfather had a workshop, he said. I used to sand scraps while he worked. He ate oranges out there, so the whole place smelled like sawdust and citrus. Lumi smiled. That's a good memory. It's one of the few that doesn't ask anything from me. She did not answer right away. Their forks touched near the last bite of pie. Both of them stopped. It was nothing. Metal against metal. A tiny sound. But Ethan felt it in his hand. Lumi lowered her fork first. You can have it, she said. Generous. I'm full of virtues. He took the last bite because arguing would have made the moment too visible. His phone rang. The screen lit up. Dad. The sound cut through the booth like a blade. Ethan silenced it. Lumi leaned back, giving him room. You don't have to perform fine with me. He looked at her. The sentence was plain. No polish. That made it harder to dodge. I don't know how not to, he said. Start smaller. How? Tell the truth badly. He breathed out a laugh. That's your advice? That is my professional and deeply unpaid recommendation. He stared at the dark coffee in his mug. I'm scared, he said. The words came out low. Lumi did not move. I'm scared my father's right about the business, he continued. I'm scared he's wrong about everything else, and I'll still have to take the job. I'm scared I built a life that only feels honest when nobody checks the math. Across from him, Lumi's fingers rested near her tea. Close to the scratch in the table. Close enough that he imagined, for one ridiculous second, placing his hand near hers. Not touching. Just near. The thought carried more heat than it should have. He did not move. Neither did she. But her gaze lowered briefly to his hand, then lifted again. She had seen the almost touch. Of course she had. My ex used to call me unflappable, she said. Ethan looked up. It sounded like a compliment until I realized he meant convenient. She turned the teacup between her hands. I was good at smoothing things over. His calendar. His moods. His mother. His apologies. Eventually I disappeared into being useful. What happened? I left on a Tuesday while he was on a conference call. Took 2 suitcases and the good kettle. You stole the kettle? I earned the kettle. He smiled. Fair. I forgot my favorite shoes, though. The better ones? Tragic, I know. The joke softened the truth without hiding it. Do you miss him? Ethan asked. No. She looked out at the rain. I miss who I thought I was proving I could be. That answer stayed with him. A group of college kids came in laughing too loudly, shaking rain from their jackets. The waitress pointed them toward the counter. One of them bumped Ethan's booth, apologized, and moved on. The interruption helped. It returned the room to the room. Lumi checked her phone. Her expression shifted into professional calm. Work? Ethan asked. Gregory. Legacy activation Gregory? The very same. Sounds dangerous. He believes sponsor photos are a constitutional right. She answered. Gregory, hi. Yes, I saw your message. No, the photographer did not delete your legacy. He sent the folder. Check the link labeled Final Images. Ethan watched her speak. Her voice warmed just enough to soothe, sharpened just enough to steer. She listened, smiled with her eyes closed, and said, "Gregory, if the file is still downloading, that means it exists." Ethan covered his mouth. She shot him a warning look that nearly made him laugh aloud. When she hung up, she placed the phone face down. Not one word. "I admire your restraint." "My restraint has invoices." "You're good at it." "At Gregory?" "At making people feel less stupid while you move them out of their own way." The compliment surprised her. He could tell because she did not immediately turn it into a joke. "Thank you," she said. He liked that. The simple acceptance. The small vulnerability of not deflecting. His father called again. Ethan's chest tightened. Lumi noticed the change. "Do you need to answer?" she asked. "No." "Do you want to?" "No." "Then don't." That sounds simple. It isn't. But it can still be clear. He turned the phone face down. For the first time that night, he did not feel like the phone owned him. They stayed until the pie plate was empty and the coffee had gone bitter in the mug. The waitress refilled Lumi's hot water without asking and said, "You two dating or negotiating a peace treaty?" "Both are going poorly," Lumi said. Ethan laughed. The waitress looked at him. "That's better. When you came in, you looked like somebody cancelled your personality." "He's in recovery," Lumi said. "I'm right here," Ethan said. "See? Progress." The waitress left them with the check. Ethan grabbed it first. Lumi narrowed her eyes. "Careful. You bought hot chocolate and saved me from being removed by a clerk. I also used you as a fake boyfriend for 20 seconds. You did. And you accepted the role eventually. Strong supporting performance." Her smile lingered. "Fine. You can pay." Outside, the rain had slowed to mist. A car waited by the curb, headlights glowing. Lumi checked the plate. "That's mine." The moment arrived too soon. Ethan stood beside her under the awning. Same rain, different block. He did not know how to end the night without making it smaller. "Thank you," he said. "For the pie I didn't pay for? For not asking me to be easier." The joke left her face. She looked at him as if he had set something fragile between them. "Don't thank people for making room," she said quietly. Then, after a beat, she added, "But you're welcome." That was better than another perfect line. More human. More careful. The driver rolled down the window. "Lumi?" "1 second," she said. She turned back to Ethan. "Where are you going?" "My studio." "Does it have heat?" "On special occasions." "Ethan." "I'll be cold," he said. "But safe." She studied him. "Better." "Passable?" "Needs revision." He smiled. She opened the car door, then paused. "Text someone when you get there." "I don't have your number." "I didn't say me." "I know." But he wished she had. She held out her hand. It was formal enough to be safe. Strange enough to matter. He took it. Her fingers were cool from the night. His were warm from the coffee mug. The contact lasted only a second, but in that second, he felt the quiet fact of her, real, near, not a dream his exhaustion had invented. "It was nice to meet you, Ethan," she said. "You too, Lumi." She got into the car. He watched it leave. Then he walked to the studio and texted Claire when he arrived. "Safe." "At the studio." "I'll call tomorrow." He slept on the bad couch under a coat that smelled like rain, diner coffee, and the faint trace of Lumi's perfume from when they had stood too close under the awning. Morning did not fix anything. His neck hurt. His studio was cold. The half-finished walnut console on the sawhorses looked patient and expensive. His landlord had emailed again. A client had delayed payment. Mark had sent the office address and the words, "No pressure, but don't wait too long." His father had written nothing. That almost felt worse. At 9, Ethan drove his delivery truck to his parents' house to get his car. The house looked untouched by the night before. White trim. Wet hedges. Warm curtains. A wreath his mother changed every season. His car sat at the curb like a witness refusing to testify. His father opened the front door before Ethan reached the porch. Richard wore a blue sweater and the face he used when he was ready to be reasonable and expected applause for it. "Come in," he said. "I'm just here for the car. We need to talk." "No. We don't." His father's mouth tightened. That's not how adults handle conflict. Ethan almost smiled. It was such an old line. A house antique. His mother appeared behind him in a robe, pale and tired. "Ethan." "Hi, Mom." She looked like she wanted to step around Richard but did not know if she was allowed to make the hallway a battlefield. His father sighed. "I shouldn't have said it that way." Ethan looked at him. "That way. Not I shouldn't have said it. Not I was wrong. Just that way." "What way would have made it true enough for you and painless enough for me?" Ethan asked. His mother closed her eyes. Richard stared at him. "I am trying to help you." "No," Ethan said, and surprised himself with how calm it sounded. "You're trying to get me back into a shape you understand. You are drowning." "Maybe." The word stopped them both. Ethan felt it land. Not denial. Not surrender. Just truth. "I might need help," he said. "I might need more work. I might need to make changes. But I'm not taking a job because everyone at a dinner table agreed I should feel ashamed." His father went still. "You think this is about shame?" "Yes." Behind him, his mother's face broke a little. Richard looked away first. For one dangerous second, Ethan saw the fear under his father's anger. It did not excuse anything. But it was there. A father terrified his son had chosen a life he could not protect him from, turning fear into judgment because judgment felt stronger. Then Richard said, "I don't know how to help a man who hears concern as attack." The old door closed again. Ethan nodded. "I know." He walked down the steps. His mother followed him to the curb. "Ethan, wait." He stopped beside the car. She hugged her robe around herself. "I'm sorry. I know. I should have said something." He could not absolve her. "Not yet. I need some space," he said. "From me too?" The question hurt. He looked at the house. Then at her. "From who I become here." She understood enough for her eyes to fill. He kissed her cheek. She held his arm for 1 second, then let go. He drove away without feeling victorious. The next 4 days were not romantic. They were invoices, sawdust, cheap takeout, and the practical embarrassment of needing money. Ethan finished the walnut console and delivered it himself because paying movers would have eaten the margin. The client loved it. She ran her hands over the brass inlay and said it made the room feel warmer. Then she asked if she could pay the second half next week. Ethan smiled like a professional and said of course. In the truck, he sat with both hands on the wheel and laughed until he felt sick. He considered Mark's offer 3 times that day. Once at a red light. Once after the landlord texted. Once at 2:16 a.m., when the studio radiator clanked awake and the whole room smelled like cold metal. Each time, his father's voice arrived first. Then Lumi's. Not with a perfect sentence. Not even advice. Just her voice saying, "Tell the truth badly." So he did. To Claire over lunch, he said, "I'm not okay, but I'm not dead." She said, "That is a terrible family motto." To his landlord, he said, "I can pay half now and half in 10 days. I know that's not ideal. I'm not dodging you." The landlord said, after a long pause, 10 days. To a cabinetmaker he knew, he said, "If you hear of part-time contract work, I need it." The cabinetmaker said, finally. "I thought you were too proud to ask." Ethan said, "I was." Asking did not feel good. But it felt clean. Friday night, rain returned. It began softly, tapping the high studio windows while Ethan sanded the edge of a maple desk. He had the radio low and his sleeves pushed up. Fine dust clung to his forearms. The room smelled of wood oil and work. His phone buzzed on the bench. "Dad, your mother says you're refusing to discuss Monday. This cannot drift." A second message came before Ethan answered. "Dad, Mark needs an answer. Structure would help you, whether you admit it or not." Then Mark, office is still open to you. No shame in starting over. No shame. Everyone kept offering him a version of shame with better lighting. Ethan put down the sandpaper. His body reacted before his mind did. Tight chest. Hot face. The old pull toward obedience. He could see the office. He could see his mother relieved. He could see his father restored to certainty. He could see himself in a button-down shirt under fluorescent lights, making enough money to be respectable and losing track of his own hands again. He could also see the lease. The debt. The unfinished work. The possibility that refusing Mark's job did not make him brave. It might only make him late. He needed air. He grabbed his coat and walked into the rain. At first, he told himself he had no destination. The city proved him a liar block by block. He passed the laundromat. The pharmacy. The bus stop. The corner where Lumi had stood with hot tea and too much composure. The convenience store came into view, bright and ugly and familiar. Ethan stopped across the street beneath a street lamp. He had become, with no defense available, a man standing in the rain outside a convenience store for emotional reasons. Well, a voice said behind him, "This is either a coincidence or a cry for a loyalty card." He turned. Lumi stood a few feet away with a black umbrella. For one full second, he did nothing but look at her. She wore jeans, ankle boots, and a navy raincoat over a cream sweater. Her hair was loose tonight, damp at the ends. She looked less like someone who had stepped out of a gala and more like someone who belonged to the neighborhood, real, tired, warm, dangerous to his balance. "You're here," he said. "So are you. I wasn't waiting for you. I didn't ask." He opened his mouth, then closed it. Her smile appeared. "Better. You live around here?" 6 blocks that way." "You didn't mention that. You were busy surviving." "Fair." A car passed, spraying water into the gutter. Lumi stepped closer and lifted the umbrella over both of them. The space beneath it tightened. Rain drummed above their heads. Ethan smelled wool, damp pavement, and the soft warmth of her perfume. She looked at the store. Rough night? Unoriginal night. Family? Family. She nodded once. Walk? In the rain? I brought architecture. He looked at the umbrella. That's generous. It's small. Don't get attached. They walked. The umbrella forced them close enough that their shoulders brushed whenever one of them avoided a puddle. The first time it happened, both pretended not to notice. The second time, Lumi lowered her voice for no reason, and Ethan felt the sound more than the words. He told her about the texts. Not everything. Enough. He wants an answer tonight, Ethan said. Do you have one? I have 5. They all hate each other. That sounds honest. It sounds useless. Honest usually does before it becomes useful. He looked down at her. She sighed. Too polished? A little. I'm working on it. Try again. She thought for a second. You don't want the job. You're scared you may need a job. Those are not the same sentence. He stopped walking. Rain beat softly on the umbrella. That was better, he said. I thought so. He looked ahead. A closed flower shop reflected streetlights in its dark windows. A few petals clung to the wet sidewalk. My mother asked if I needed space from her too, he said. Lumi's expression softened. What did you say? That I needed space from who I become there. She looked away for a second. What? He asked. Nothing. No. Tell the truth badly. That made her smile, but it did not last. I wish I'd had that sentence years ago, she said. He remembered the ex. The kettle. The forgotten shoes. Did you become someone else with him? I became easy. The word hung between them. Then she looked at him with a small, embarrassed laugh. That sounded dramatic. No, he said. It sounded expensive. Her eyes lifted to his. No one moved. A drop of rain fell from the umbrella's edge onto his wrist. He should have looked away. He didn't. The phone in her pocket rang. She closed her eyes. If this is Gregory, I'm walking into traffic. Legacy activation Gregory? He has evolved. He is now asking about sponsor visibility. May God protect us. She answered. Gregory. Hi. They kept walking slowly while she talked. Her voice changed into that warm, professional rhythm Ethan remembered from the diner. She soothed, redirected, corrected, and at one point said, No, Gregory, a candid photo cannot be more intentional after the fact. Ethan laughed silently. She pointed at him in warning. When she hung up, she exhaled hard. I'm sorry. You're terrifyingly good at that. At not committing phone murder? At making panic feel optional. The compliment hit her again. He saw it. The small pause before she accepted it. Thank you, she said. You're welcome. The umbrella shifted. Their fingers brushed on the handle. Both of them noticed. This time neither made a joke. Ethan said, Does it ever get tiring? What? Being the person who makes panic optional. Lumi looked ahead. Yes. The answer was plain. He waited. She let the silence stretch for half a block. My mother used to call me her easy child, she said. She meant it as love. I learned early that if I could read the room fast enough, nobody had to fall apart. Or if they did, at least I could make it quieter. Lumi. She glanced at him. You're allowed to be inconvenient. The umbrella stopped. He had not planned the sentence. Maybe that was why it worked. For once, Lumi had no immediate answer. Her eyes shone a little in the streetlight, though she was not crying. Not exactly. That, she said after a moment, was unfairly good. I work with wood. Sometimes I find the grain. She laughed, soft and shaky. Then she started walking again. They ended up at Miles without deciding to. The same waitress saw them enter and put a hand on her hip. Tea fiction and coffee regret. Lumi brightened. We're legends. Booth? The waitress asked. Yes, Ethan said. She looked at him. Look at that. Decisions. Lumi laughed so hard she turned her face toward the window. They took the same booth. This time the table felt less like neutral ground and more like a place waiting for them. The waitress brought tea, coffee, and no menu. No pie? Lumi asked. Later, the waitress said. You two need tension. After she left, Ethan's phone buzzed again. He did not look. Lumi noticed. That's new. Don't praise me too fast. I'm one buzz away from collapse. I'll keep my applause ready but restrained. He turned the phone face down on the table. I don't want Mark's job, he said. Lumi folded her hands around her mug. I might need work, he continued. Real work. Practical work. I might need to share the studio or take contracts or build cabinets for people with terrible taste. But I don't want to hand my life back to people who only respect me when I'm explainable. Lumi's face softened. That sounds like an answer, she said. It doesn't solve anything. No. But it tells you what not to sacrifice. He breathed in. That was not a solution. It was not rent. It was not a 5-year plan. It was something sturdier than comfort. The phone buzzed again. He picked it up. Dad, we need your answer. Ethan typed before courage could become a debate. I'm not taking Mark's job. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not deciding my life because of what happened at dinner. I'll sort out my finances, and if I need help, I'll ask for it directly. I'm not coming over to be corrected. He stared at the message. His thumb hovered. Across the table, Lumi said nothing. He sent it. The phone seemed heavier and lighter at once. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the typing dots appeared. Stopped. Appeared again. Stopped. No reply came. Ethan set the phone down. I didn't go back, he said. Lumi looked at him, and the room seemed to quiet around her. No, she said. You didn't. He laughed once, under his breath. I thought I'd feel stronger. You look exhausted. That's romantic. It's honest. Still. Her smile was small. For what it's worth, I think exhausted honesty is better than confident pretending. The waitress appeared with pie as if summoned by emotional progress. On the house, she said. You both look like you're either falling in love or filing taxes. Either way, sugar helps. Lumi put both hands over her face. Ethan laughed. Thank you, he said. Don't thank me. Tip well. She left. Lumi lowered her hands. Her cheeks were faintly pink. He had never seen her embarrassed before. He liked it too much. Well, he said, that was subtle. Deeply professional service. Do you want to file taxes? Not with you. You seem like a shoebox receipt man. I resent how accurate that is. They ate the pie. Their knees touched under the table. This time, neither moved away. The contact was small. Almost nothing. But it changed the conversation. Every pause had a second meaning. Every look had to cross the space carefully. Ethan was suddenly aware of her hands, her mouth, the way she smiled down at her tea when she did not want him to see how much she had smiled. I like you, he said. The words surprised them both. Lumi looked up. He did not take them back. I know tonight is strange, he said. These nights. All of this. And I know I'm not exactly meeting you from the most stable corner of my life. That's one way to phrase it. But I don't want you to be where I hide. Her expression changed. He kept going because if he stopped, he might edit himself into cowardice. I'd like to know you when I'm not in the middle of an emergency. Lumi was quiet long enough for him to feel every second. Then she said, I like you too. The words were simple. No decoration. They hit harder that way. But, she added. He smiled faintly. There it is. I don't want to be your rebellion. You're not. You don't know that yet. He let that land. Okay. And I don't want to become another person whose approval you start performing for. That one hurt because it was fair. He nodded. Okay. You can be messy, she said. Just don't be dishonest. I can try honestly. That's better. The waitress passed their booth with the coffee pot, saw their faces, and reversed direction without stopping. Lumi laughed into her tea. What? Ethan asked. She's invested. She fed the plot pie. She has rights. His phone buzzed again. He looked. Dad, we'll talk later. 3 words. No apology. No blessing. No war. For Richard Cole, it was practically peacekeeping. Ethan showed Lumi. She read it and handed the phone back. How does that feel? Like I moved a piano 6 inches. Still movement. Still heavy. Yes. He texted his mother next. I'm safe. I'm not coming over tonight. I love you. I'll call tomorrow. Her answer came quickly. I love you too. Then another. I'm proud of you for saying what you needed to say. Ethan looked at the message until his eyes burned. Lumi pretended to examine the pie crust. He appreciated that more than another question. When they left the diner, the rain had stopped. The city shone under streetlights, every window and puddle holding pieces of gold. The air smelled clean for once, or maybe he was only breathing differently. They walked back toward the convenience store because neither of them had said goodbye yet and both knew it. At the corner, Ethan stopped. Lumi stopped with him. This was where she had first seen him. Or maybe where he had first let himself be seen. The store still glowed. The clerk had changed shifts. The lotto sign still flickered. Nothing about the place was beautiful until he remembered her standing there with tea in her hands, telling the clerk he was with her. I don't know what this is, Ethan said. Lumi turned toward him. He chose the words carefully, but not too carefully. But I don't want it to end in silence. Her smile came slowly. Then don't let it, she said. A car moved through the intersection, washing them briefly in headlights. He looked at her hands in her coat pockets, then back at her face. Can I ask for your number? You can. Will you give it to me? That depends. On? Whether you're asking because tonight was hard, or because you want tomorrow to exist. There it was. The final door. Ethan breathed once. Tomorrow, he said. In daylight. No emergency required. Lumi's eyes warmed. Daylight is ambitious. I'm trying to become suspiciously stable. I'll need proof. Coffee? Coffee helps. Tomorrow? She looked at him for one more second, as if making sure he knew what he was asking for. Then she held out her hand for his phone. He gave it to her. She typed in her number and saved it under Lumi with a small candle emoji beside her name. When she handed the phone back, her fingers brushed his. He texted her immediately. This is Ethan. Purposeful standing, advanced level. Her phone chimed. She read it and shook her head. Terrible. It's a strong callback. It is a cry for editing. Will you answer anyway? She looked at him. Then she typed. His phone buzzed. Tomorrow. Daylight. Don't be late. He smiled down at the screen like an idiot and did not care. The walk signal changed. Lumi stepped off the curb, then paused. This time, she did take his hand. Only for the crossing. Only lightly. But her fingers closed around his with enough certainty to make the whole night tilt. Ethan walked beside her through the wet glow of the intersection, not rescued, not fixed, not suddenly fearless. Just there. Chosen for the next morning. Allowed to be unfinished without being left alone in it. At the other side, she let go. Not quickly. Not carelessly. Just enough to keep the promise from becoming pressure. Tomorrow, she said. Daylight, he answered. She smiled, turned, and walked down the shining block beneath the streetlights. Ethan stood there until she reached the corner. Before she disappeared, she looked back once. He lifted his hand. She lifted hers. Then she was gone. His phone was warm in his palm. The city was still hard. Morning would still bring rent, work, his father, the studio, and every unanswered question waiting in a neat and merciless line. But for the first time in a long time, tomorrow did not feel like a sentence. It felt like a place he had agreed to meet someone.